Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
This is Everybody's Business from Bloomberg Businessweek. I'm Max Chafkin.
And I'm Stacey Vanek Smith. And Max, here we are, 2026. It is happened.
Happy New Year, Stacey.
Happy New Year. 2025's done. We're done with it.
Yeah. Today on the show, we're going to look ahead to that new year. The new issue of Businessweek is all about that.
Yeah, and we'll be looking at some of the biggest stories that are going to be unfolding in 2026, some of the economic indicators we'll be watching. And Max, you will be previewing some potential feuds.
Oh, feuds. I love feuds. And you have promised us headline Mad Libs.
I have.
I don't know what those words mean, but we will finish things off with a lightning round of that and some predictions from listeners and friends.
And we are very lucky to have Brad Stone, editor of Businessweek, here to join us and talk through what we can expect in the year ahead. Hey, Brad.
Hi, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So, okay, Brad, there's a whole issue of Businessweek that just came out all about what we can expect in 2026. You have been looking over the lands in this way. So what are some of the big stories that you see unfolding this year?
Right. Well, I'm going to highlight two big ones. The first we really put on the cover of the January issue. There's a big bubble on the cover, so it doesn't take too much imagination to know what that refers to. But really the story—
What does it refer to, Brad?
It refers to the explosion of investment optimism and bubbly exuberance around AI. 2025, it was, a gangbusters year. UBS estimated that spending on infrastructure, so data centers and chips and the like, went from $15 billion in 24 to $125 billion. Venture capitalists were one note in the year. All the money funneled into AI. NVIDIA's market cap nearly doubled to $4.3 trillion. So, that's the big story of the year. It's probably the big story of the decade, starting when ChatGPT was unveiled at the end of 2022, and obviously one we're going to continue to watch.
So if you look at this bubble with all of your knowledge, are we headed for a bubble popping? Because I think that's the big concern.
I mean, like you guys have been doing this for a long time, maybe a little longer. I moved out to Silicon Valley in the late 90s, and I saw the, wild optimism around the internet in the late 90s. And there was a reckoning in 2000 and 2001. And then it happened again. People call it the unicorn bubble about 10 years later. And in both cases, there was carnage. But that underlying innovation, emerged, and a few companies were minted as kingmakers. And this is the pattern with new waves of technology. And I think that we'll see the same thing here.
I think there's extra concern now because our economy is not as diversified as we might want it to be, especially in growth-wise. I feel like we're so dependent right now on AI growth continuing for our whole economy to grow that it feels like we just have so much at stake with this bubble. This is not your average bubble.
Hot take. It's going to burst.
I don't think that—
It's going to burst. That's my take.
Why? Well, just back this up with facts.
I actually think I'm very hesitant to say this because we're recording this in mid-December for an issue that is going to hit in 2 weeks. And so if I'm wrong, we can make fun of me and whatever.
And edit it out.
January 8th or something.
Okay.
I think the bubble maybe already has burst. And,
in what way?
Well, I don't know. Oracle over the last couple of days last week absolutely dropped. So it went down 12% one day and then 5% another day. Now, there's a stuff going on. Bloomberg Businessweek did a big story about Oracle that's also in this issue, had some information about their data center plans. That could have contributed to the drop of Oracle's stock price. But I don't know, we've already started to see some of these AI stocks already start to pull back. Now, obviously, they may recover and it may look like nothing's happened. Nothing much has happened, just a blip. But I don't know. There's a chance that we've already seen some of these asset prices peak.
Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's certainly true. I think this is a FOMO-induced bubble. Investors are trying to find any way they can into this movement. A lot of these companies are private, and so you get bets on companies like Oracle, that are optimistically trying to get in on the action. Max is right, that stock price has fallen, but you look at NVIDIA, and that seems to still be a pretty safe bet. I think like the question is, are we going to see the same kind of pullback that we saw in 2000 and 2001, where some companies go out of business, a lot of investors get hurt? That's what we're going to be paying close attention to next year.
So what are you both looking for? Like, what will be the signs of a bubble bursting? Is it stock price? Is it investment? Is it other things? Like, what should we look for if we're looking for harbingers of problems?
There's still so many questions around consumer adoption of these tools. And right now, I think it's still being fueled by novelty and maybe a little groupthink, like we're all being asked in different corners of our lives to embrace these tools. If we ever start to see indication that consumers are pulling back, that they're not finding it quite as useful as maybe it was promised.
That and also just like business spending. That's been one of the
big...
they
stop investing?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big themes that we've talked about over and over again on this show is kind of the gap between spending and returns. But, that's true like at the highest level of these, OpenAI is losing lots of money, but also is true when it comes to a lot of companies like doing pilot programs. And with these like AI pilot programs, the hope obviously is that it's going to pay off one day. When you look at survey data, it hasn't paid off yet. And you sort of wonder, when is that day going to come? If that day doesn't come in 2026, I think that starts to maybe create problems.
I have a second story to watch in 2026.
And what else are you watching for?
Arguably, if AI is the story of the decade, then to me, the norm-busting, power-expanding, kind of guardrail, flagrantly disregarding imperial presidency of Donald Trump is the big story for next year. I mean, so much of what we wrote about in Businessweek, so much of what you guys talked about on the podcast has been, the behavior of this president. Everything from, Doge to tariffs to tearing down the East Wing. I think that's the big story of the last year, and the extent to which the Supreme Court, will check him on tariffs, on the removal power for executives like Lisa Cook. I think 2026 is a defining moment in the aggregation of power and the existence of checks and balances in the American democratic process.
I think, without question, 2025 was the year of the imperial presidency.
What about this year?
Well, I think this is the year. What's the opposite of the imperial presidency? The pequeño presidency?
The people's presidency?
I think with the scattering of elections we had in November, the resignations by GOP members of Congress, polling, which is looking really bad, there's reason to think like this is the year that when sort of Donald Trump comes back to earth, where he starts to he really tested the limits of his power in 2025. I think we're going to see more people, both people in corporate roles, some of these businesses that have been like basically just doing whatever they can to please the White House, starting to push back gingerly, as well as members of the Republican Party.
Well, you just wrote about how Costco is doing that, how Costco is pushing back.
Costco's doing it. I think the big question is is Costco doing it because they are so awesome? Everyone loves Costco. Costco has sued the Trump administration trying to recoup tariff money. So the idea is that if the Supreme Court, Brad mentioned the Supreme Court is going to rule on these Liberation Day tariffs, if the Supreme Court rules that they are legal, that the president was not allowed to do that, then Costco, and there are a bunch of other companies that are filing similar complaints, is trying to basically get a refund as soon as possible. Now, this is interesting because if you think about Costco in contrast to, say, Amazon, remember earlier this year, Amazon floated. It wasn't even like an official announcement.
They said they were going to show it on a bill. It was an itemized.
Yeah. Some indication that maybe Amazon would itemize the tariff cost. And then the White House got wind of it. They called it, unpatriotic. Amazon immediately pulled back. Meanwhile, Costco getting involved in this legal action. Again, the reason for this could be either that Costco is sort of unique. They have a really strong brand, really strong consumer loyalty.
Costco.
Exactly. You need your big jar of mayonnaise, so you're not too mad.
It comes up in every single conversation I have with my parents.
And maybe Donald Trump is afraid to go after Costco specifically. On the other hand, maybe this is something that is the beginning of a greater pushback.
Yeah, I would just point out that if you remember when Amazon floated that, the White House called Jeff Bezos, who has a lot of non-Amazon business in front of the Trump administration, including his space company, Blue Origin. So the White House has a lot of leverage over companies like Amazon that I don't think that they have over Costco. And I don't see any pullback from companies and business leaders in trying to placate the White House and court Donald Trump. I mean, it will be interesting to see if that changes. But right now, a lot of corporate decisions are flowing through the White House and Mar-a-Lago.
What about you, Stacey? What do you think? What do you make of these? Bubble burst?
Let's see. With the AI bubble burst, I would say I'm scared of the bubble bursting, and I'm scared of how dependent our whole economy is on AI. Also, the thing that I notice is how I feel like we're just not sure how AI is really going to be used or integrated, and businesses are investing. And it reminds me of, if you guys ever saw in South Park, they had the underwear gnomes. Do you remember the underwear gnomes? It was like very odd. But there were these little gnomes, and they would steal people's underwear, and they had a business plan. And their business plan was, step 1, steal everybody's underwear. Step 2, question mark, question mark, question mark. Step 3, millions of dollars. And I sort of feel like that is where AI is. It's in the question. It's like, okay, we're going to spend a lot of money on AI, and then somehow this is going to translate to millions or billions of dollars. And I'm worried about that not translating and the effect that that'll have on the economy, because it's not just, a couple of big companies go down. I feel like everything's so tied into AI. That is the thing that worries me. I'm not sure if the bubble's going to burst or not. I feel like I hear compelling arguments on both sides, but it does worry me a lot.
The thing that does feel similar to the late 90s is just the tunnel vision around AI and the total lack of investor and corporate interest in anything else right now. So I share your concern, Stacey, and it feels like if some of these expectations aren't met, there will be nothing to cushion this economy because there's so much investor interest and energy being focused into one place.
Stacey, we got Brad's basic take on 2026. Now, I know you're all about the sort of economic numbers, right? You're about the indicators.
Fair enough.
What are you looking at for the year ahead?
Well, I did a story for Businessweek on whether or not we can expect a recession in 2026, which is slightly different than the bubble question. But I was looking across the economy, looking at there's this whole industry, essentially, of economic forecasters, and they are always feeding things into their computer models, trying to figure out if we're heading into a recession. One of the economists I talked to was Mark Zandi. He's chief economist for Moody's Analytics. Moody's Analytics is a forecasting agency. This is what they do. And I said to him, will we see a recession in 2026? Here's what he said.
I think the most likely outlook is for us to get through without a recession.
Oh, this is excellent news. But your voice does not match the optimism of your words.
Yeah, because I was going to qualify it by saying nothing else can go wrong. That's how tenuous things are. And there's a lot of things that could go wrong. So we're not in recession. We should be able to avoid one, but, we're right on the precipice. And again, everything has to stick to script for us to avoid one.
That was like the optimistic take.
Doesn't sound awesome.
No.
And not a blast of confidence.
No. And he was just saying that there are things are so fragile right now. AI was one of the big things he looked at. He was like, AI has to hold. If it doesn't hold, or if it doesn't sort of succeed at the right pace, we're in a lot of trouble. He also was talking about consumer spending. That's a big one. That's definitely an indicator that I'm going to watch because it is such a huge part of our economy. And right now, the wealthiest 10% of Americans, the top 10% of earners, account for half of the spending. And that puts us in a really tricky position because if something happens to the wealthiest 10% of the population and they decide to save or they pull back, that is going to be really devastating for our economy. So consumer spending is becoming increasingly tricky too, I would say. And a lot of people are just, their spending is going down because of inflation, because people are earning less, because the job market's so stagnant right now that people, I think, feel like they can't ask for raises. They're feeling nervous. They're saving. So consumer spending is another big one that I'm going to be watching.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've, throughout the year, been sort of waiting for it to kind of fall off. And it hasn't fallen off yet.
So true.
So again, like it's one of these things, we just keep waiting for this recession to pop out. And we've sort of been in that position for like for several years.
Yes, it's like that toy with the clown that pops out and you're just like winding it and winding it. Yes, I keep feeling like the consumer sentiment numbers come out, they're terrible. They're the lowest they've been in decades. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Next time consumer spending comes out, it's going to be terrible. And what do you know? It looks pretty good. This keeps happening over and over again.
Do you want to hit the job market quickly, Stacey? I mean, you talked about consumers being hesitant to spend potentially or kind of economic uncertainty hanging over consumers. What about the economic uncertainty hanging over companies?
Yes. The job market, I think, is probably the most important part of the economy because it's just been so still for a year, which is really odd. Like normally it's moving in one direction or the other. We have a really huge dynamic economy. It's hiring or layoffs are rising or something's happening, but it's been quite quiet. Like, unemployment has been rising all year, but it's still near historic lows. The number that I'm specifically watching is the hiring rates, which is a little off of like kind of the main jobs numbers, but hiring is like the lowest it's been in decades. And I think it speaks to this kind of pause. I think a lot of companies are waiting, maybe considering AI investments or waiting to expand with like uncertainty about tariffs and things like that. So hiring is just abysmal. And you cannot have a healthy economy without a healthy job market. And our job market's just not, it's not in bad shape, but it's just kind of, I don't know, it's got like a light fever. It's not good.
I also wonder if AI might be freezing hiring, not the reality of it, but the expectations that companies have created with their investors, with their boards, that AI would bring efficiencies. What a terrible time to start hiring en masse if that is the expectation that you have set.
All right, let's go to feuds. Stacey.
Yes.
Brad, I think, knows this too. I love a good feud.
I know you do.
I feel like feuds are a great way
2025 was a very good year for you, by the way.
I wanted to talk about that because a year ago in Bloomberg, in the Businessweek year ahead issue, I made a feud list, my predicted feuds for the year.
So you've been tracking feuds for years now.
So I've been tracking feuds. I've got a little report card here from last year, and I thought we could go over some of those and then talk about the new feuds.
Go for it.
All right, so last year, this is really important. I had Dogman versus Paddington. I think clear-cut win for Dogman on this one. Both movies came out around the same time. Paddington in Peru, it was the lowest grossing Paddington yet.
Paddington went to Peru?
He went to Peru and no one cared, or not that many people cared, or not as many people as cared about the earlier Paddington movies. Dogman, on the other hand, it grossed a little bit less, but way smaller budget. Plus, hey, new IP. I think this is a clear win for the half man, half dog.
Okay.
Speaking of Sam Altman prevailing, in my opinion, in the Altman versus Elon feud.
Is that what you predicted, Max?
Well, I didn't actually make any predictions. I just said that these would be the feuds.
Wait, one how?
Well, I would say, I'm curious what Brad says here, but Altman went into the year where Elon is kind of top of the world. He's suing OpenAI.
He's waving chainsaws.
He's close to Trump. And the year ends with Altman being, I think, at the center of the sort of business story of the year, which is AI, but also getting lots of great access to the White House, which you would have thought would be, Elon's main kind of trump card. I feel like this is a close call, though. I don't want to act
it's a
like
draw.
I'm gonna give it to Elon. And I'll explain why. I don't disagree with Max's reasoning, but I think, look, Elon has so many ways to win. And you look at SpaceX right now, on track for 180 launches this year. Starlink is killing it. And Bloomberg has reported that SpaceX is on the verge of an IPO. It could raise $30 billion, a $1.5 trillion valuation. Elon himself will be sitting on, I don't know, north of 500 billion worth of SpaceX shares. And his companies are so tightly linked, as Max knows so well, that it puts Tesla in a position to succeed. I mean, all of XAI, of course, he could pull out a win in AI just by virtue of—
He got a $1 trillion pay package, too.
Yeah, and this idea of space data centers.
Around.
I don't know. I mean, Elon is— so SpaceX right now is the juggernaut of his portfolio, and it's in a really good position.
Real quick, Kendrick v. Drake, I think—
That was a great feud. That was my favorite feud.
Huge L for Drake, though. I mean— lawsuit,
epic.
Dropped,
even I know that.
Kendrick, the Super Bowl performance. All right, new feuds.
Oh, 2026 feuds. Look ahead
2026.
feuds.
Here are a
Okay.
few predictions. First feud, NVIDIA versus Huawei.
Okay.
Now, Huawei is a gigantic Chinese tech conglomerate. And the reason I put these two together is because Huawei is one of the Chinese companies that is making chips, like state-of-the-art chips in China. Now, we had this thing that came up earlier in December where Trump basically said, okay, NVIDIA, you're allowed to sell more advanced chips to China. A bunch of China hawks like totally freaked out because like they're going to give these like really important strategic assets to it.
Yeah, this was like a national security issue for a long time.
It's unclear how China is going to play this, but there are at least some signs that they're not going to maybe buy that many of these NVIDIA chips, basically because they think that Huawei can do just as well, that the chips aren't as big an advantage as we thought. We've seen this play out similarly like with Apple, where Huawei has, and a couple other Chinese companies have really caught up, but like Chinese tech companies are catching up even in these areas that I think we saw as being, you know, sort of the domain of the United States. And so I think that is an interesting story to watch.
Well, what a flex from China. You know, publicly reject the NVIDIA chips, say that you want to build a self-reliant industry, and then probably go source those NVIDIA chips anyway, maybe indirectly. So either way, I do think it's a big rivalry, and I think either way, China ends up with a stronger hand.
All right. Now, last year, I predicted that Trump would feud Jerome Powell, and I feel very good about that prediction because it was like a thing we talked about.
You nailed it. Yes.
And in fact, I got in fight. There were people who were like, "No, they're not going to fight." I had a few arguments at the beginning of the year because at the time, like Trump was saying kind of nice things about Jerome Powell.
And Jerome Powell's not like a feisty person. He is.
No,
he's not. Yeah, he's not gonna. I don't know.
So
throw shade at anybody.
But here's what I'm wondering. I mean, obviously, I think Trump and the Fed is a big feud in 2026. But I'm kind of curious, Stacey, like this is really your Bally Week, for better or worse.
I do have a yes. Yes.
What is the feud? Like in terms of Trump and the Fed, is it still Trump and Powell? Because Trump is going to name very soon, I think, we believe, a replacement to Powell. That's going to create a weird lame duck situation for a few months.
Yeah, Powell's term is up in May.
Yeah, so do we get like sort of Trump and one of the Kevins against Powell, or does one of the Kevins, I believe Warsh or Hassert, right?
It's Kevin Hassett, right?
Sorry. Anyway, I have to say, I just have to pause and say my all-time favorite thing that Trump ever did as a politician was when he endorsed Eric for Senate in Missouri, like 3 years ago. There were two candidates running for Senate in Missouri, and he just endorsed Eric. He essentially endorsed them both. And so anytime there's an opportunity for that with
he
Trump,
just finds a lot of people with the same name.
Okay, so my question, Stacey, is like who is the feud with? Is it Trump and whoever he picks against kind of like the dovish forces, or does whoever he pick turn around, and some Fed commentators are saying this, and sort of suddenly become captive to the institution, like turn around and start resisting Trump as soon as they get the nomination?
That's interesting. I mean, I think the feud this year, the feud between Trump and Jerome Powell, which I do think was a feud, as insofar as Jerome Powell has feuds, which I don't think he has a lot of them, but I really think it was over power because the Federal Reserve just has a lot of power over the economy, and the president doesn't really have access to that. It's pretty protected.
Right.
And Powell just wouldn't budge. He would not budge. And that, I think, infuriated President Trump because it's real power. The Federal Reserve chair, setting interest rates, that is incredibly powerful way of raising money for the government, way of stimulating or slowing down the economy. I mean, it's a lot of power, and I think Trump wants it. He sees it. He wants it. I think the person who steps into that role could make some trouble for Trump. I feel like Jerome Powell's put up quite a bit of resistance. Lisa Cook's put up resistance. They've both been successful in staying in their positions. Also, there's been more dissent within the federal. So the Federal Open Market Committee, they vote on whether or not to raise interest rates and what to do. And normally it's a unanimous vote. It's almost always unanimous. Recently, the last couple times, there have been very public dissent. which they've said, Trump's wormed his way into the Fed, which I think is true. And I also think it lays the groundwork for Fed governors to disagree with Trump publicly and to maybe have more of an individual voice than before. So I don't think it's a slam dunk for Trump, because once you get into that position, I mean, Jay Powell was appointed by President Trump and didn't do what he said.
I think the prediction is Trump versus whoever he nominates. That we're going to have 3 weeks of honeymoon, and then it's going to be one true social insult after another against one of the Kevins.
I think so too.
All right, Stacey, we got a couple more things to do before we get to listener predictions. The first is, as I understand it, you've devised a game for us, for me and Brad.
Yes, it is Headlines Mad Libs. Have you both played Mad Libs? Brad, Max?
I do, because I have children, and I have to say, I think it may be the most inane thing my
children do. It is a fantastic game.
Do.
I will not hear it smeared. So basically, what I was thinking is, that we don't know what the headlines of 2026 are going to be, but we have all been reporting for a long time. We all have kind of a reporter's intuition, and I was hoping to tap into that intuition with Mad Libs. So I have headlines written out, and I have left some of the words blank, some adjectives, some nouns, some proper names. So I'm going to ask you and Brad to fill them in, and then I'm going to read you a couple of predictive headlines that I think could end up gracing the Bloomberg Businessweek covers of 2026.
Brad, this is not how Businessweek normally chooses.
But perhaps this is how we should do it. So I will be taking careful notes.
Brad, this sounds like a commitment for a 2026 headline. Anyway, here we go. So first thing, I need an adjective, Max.
Hairy.
Okay. Number, Brad.
12.
Okay. Company, Max. Any company.
Snickers. that's a candy bar. Hershey.
Okay. Company, Brad.
Crumble.
Now, a job. Max.
Vice President of Marketing.
Proper name, Brad.
Samuel.
A chore, Max.
Laundry.
Something an adult has to do, Brad.
Save for retirement.
And something enjoyable, something relaxing, Max.
Surfing.
Okay, here are the two predictive headlines of 2026. Here's the first one. Magnificent Seven, more like Hairy 12. A new crop of companies are the stock market's darlings, including Hershey's, and Crumble.
All right. Okay. So
it tracks.
We'd have to imagine a huge shift
economic
in the economy.
Shift. Yeah.
The AI market just completely
the rise of Hershey and Crumble
completely collapses.
Yeah.
Economy plunges into a historic depression. The only thing left
so
is
we're eating
sweets.
our feelings.
Exactly.
Right? We're eating our feelings.
We're just
also, I think that, the financial press's ability to coin, the word for a group of companies from the Magnificent Seven to FANG in this scenario has really fallen apart. What are we calling them? The Hairy 12? Yeah. Awful. Awful.
All right. The second headline is, my AI VP of Marketing. My AI assistant Samuel can do laundry, save for retirement, and surf. It's my new prediction for what AI could do.
That works.
I actually think that's OpenAI actually literally said all
would
of
be
those
a
words.
solid VP of Marketing.
It tracks.
The surf thing, Optimus can surf, but I don't know about ChatGPT.
Well, surf the web.
Or this new AI-enabled vice president of marketing is doing the job so well that the actual employee is surfing.
Brad, Hairy 12, cover of Businessweek. What say you?
Well, it seems like from the Mad Lib that the Hairy 12 are sweet, like companies selling sugary treats, right? Hershey and Crumbles, and never bet against the sweet tooth of the buying public.
That's true.
So I say up.
Polymarket, if you're listening, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. I mean, I would buy that I would buy a magazine that had candy and the Hairy 12 on it.
Hairy 12. Why is it hairy though?
Because of you.
final little segment before we leave Brad, before we leave you all, and let you continue eating black-eyed peas or whatever. We've got a lightning round. So none of us should think too hard about this.
Okay.
It's like a 1 or 2 word answer, and we're going to go through the blank of the year. So here we go.
Okay.
Brad, political movement of the year.
Climate absolutists.
Ooh.
Stacey.
Maha.
Okay, mine is the one where you're like, all these people want to, I forget what it's called, like digital abstinence. Basically Ludditism. But it's like fancified.
The flip phone.
It's like Ezra Klein is on this now. Okay, musical genre. Brad, musical genre of the year.
R&B.
AI generated music.
Oh, God, Stacey, country.
What?
Okay, higher gross, Dune 3 or the forthcoming Avengers movie? Brad.
Spider-Man 4.
He went rogue.
Okay.
I
Stacey,
say Avengers.
I'm going Dune 3, but only because I like it. I actually have no idea.
No one is going to go see Dune 3.
Okay, country that wins the World Cup.
Brazil.
Stacey.
Germany.
USA, come on. Okay, Nobel Peace Prize winner, Brad.
I have no idea, but let's say not the current president of the United States.
Stacey.
I don't know. Pass.
Okay, FIFA Peace Prize winner, Brad.
Donald Trump.
The current president of the United States.
Again.
Melania. No, J.D. Vance.
They got to give it to, I'm saying MBS. They got to give it, there's World Cup coming
good
in.
Good call. I like that one.
I actually don't know if they give out the FIFA Peace Prize every year.
Maybe they could give out a few a year. Why not?
Okay, Brad, midterm results.
Yeah, I think the Democrats retake the House, but by a very small margin, and nothing really changes.
Same.
I say the Democrats retake both. No,
really?
You guys are right.
Okay.
Timothée Chalamet unmasked as Eastie Kid. I actually don't know how to say this. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That he's secretly a rapper?
Yes. Timothée Chalamet, secretly a rapper.
Yes?
I'll
say yes.
I'm not deep in the lore here, but I'm going to say yes, too.
Okay.
Kind of looks like him when you look at the picture of the guy wearing the mask.
The mask.
Yeah. Brad, are
Does
you
that guy,
are you up to date on this?
Jobs?
All right. Hot new office trend. Brad.
Oh.
Napping under your desk.
Oh, office naps. I like that. I'm going to say that, like, FaceTime is back. Like, people putting in crazy hours.
Okay, related prediction.
Like, in the office.
Offices are the hot new office trend. Like,
yeah.
Like, we're going to see some big company pull back from the open office craze.
I mean, look at Jamie Dimon and like that huge new building he built with the
No, but do they have divided offices? I'm saying like this trend of
like
everyone
offices with doors.
I'm saying doors are the hot new office trend.
Oh.
That's my prediction. Because you're having fewer people come to the office because of work from home and so on. And all these like Zooms and FaceTimes, it's just so much louder. It's just so hard to have a Zoom conversation from a tightly, when you're packed inside cubicles.
I hope that's true, but I think that ship has sailed. It's just so much cheaper to pack people in. And I think money wins.
I applaud Max's prediction. I want to go back to the time when we all viewed the location and the size of each other's offices as a proxy for how well we were doing inside the workplace.
Yes.
And
corner office,
the
windows,
hierarchy.
which floor.
I actually like kind of open offices. I feel like most people don't actually like them, which is you're like, why did we do this? But I don't know. I just can't
because of money.
I just can't. Yeah, well, it's always that, isn't it? Okay, last one. New AI trend. Stacey.
I think that we're going to start seeing AI engineered to be people's friends or like companion. You know what I mean? Like personality engineered. I think we're going to start seeing AI entities that are like tailored to our needs, like sort of like an assistant or an assistant/friend. I think we're going to start to see AI being tailored to our kind of emotional/life needs. That's what I think.
I'm going to say restrictions on usage, like the screen time equivalent for AI, not just with parents for kids, but people in their personal lives, dating apps. We're going to look for kind of genuine connection and ways to keep AI out of the equation.
I'm gonna piggyback on that one with tools to like consumer tools to allow you to sniff out AI usage. So like in your chat, in your text messaging application or in your dating app or whatever, like I could imagine and I think it would be useful to have like
a filter,
a % chance that
it's
your
like,
friend used
it's
AI
like
to
spam.
consume.
It's like when you get the
compose
phone
this.
call and it's like probably spam.
Exactly.
Except it'll be like, this is probably a robot.
This podcast is 100% human for now, Stacey. And I think we've run out of time.
Yes, we have.
Brad Stone, thanks for
If
being
I were
here.
a robot, I would know what to say. I would smooth the ending out better.
Brad, thank you for coming.
Thanks, guys. That was fun.
Thanks, Brad.
Stacey, before we close out this episode, before we say goodbye to the new year, we've already said goodbye to Brad. You remember we asked listeners to send in predictions for the new year, what they were thinking. We got some great voice memos. Charlie also went out on the street and asked some people as well to get their take. Let's give a listen to what our listeners think is going to happen in the new year.
My prediction is that 2026 is the year that college finally loses its appeal to Americans.
I think Zoran's definitely going to do some sort of dance routine sometime next year. There will be more than one video of him doing a good dance.
The first prediction I have is the continued rise in the sale and the celebration of physical media. Paper books to cassette tapes to vinyl records. I also am hopeful that Substack is going to become an economic engine for really high-quality journalism.
Everything's protein these days. I think fiber is going to make a comeback.
Travis Kelce is going to be the one who will be calling off the engagement to Taylor Swift as he struggles with post-retirement identity.
Watching Reels is the new smoking.
No piece of banana art, either with or sans duct tape, will fetch a penny over $500,000.
2026 is going to be the year of a major public, cultural, and maybe even political backlash against AI. We're going to end up with all the bars in Tatooine having no droids policy by the end of 2026.
Well, first of all, thank you to Bren, Ray, Pete, David, and everyone who gave us predictions. Also, thanks to Charlie for going out and asking people. I got to say, I love the no droids thing. You know, I'm totally on board. You know, my bar is going to have a no droids policy.
What does that mean? No droids.
Well, what
like
Bren,
androids?
who sent this in, is saying is that there's going to be a cultural backlash to AI, and he's suggesting that, you know, in the Star Wars bar where you have androids and aliens and so on going together, he's imagining a situation where
the bar where like Jabba the Hutt was.
Yeah, Jabba will be allowed, but C-3PO gotta go.
Oh. Well,
I know, you're letting him in.
He can come to my bar.
Yeah, well, we know that.
C-3PO is welcome in my bar. I liked the comeback of fiber. Very interesting.
I mean, I feel like that is a slam dunk, right? What do you think about this Travis Kelce prediction?
Oh, the Travis Kelce? No way. No way that he will call out. I mean, if he calls off his engagement to Taylor Swift, he's like clearly with the Chiefs. I think that his career might be in its last year or two. And being with her presents so many very interesting business opportunities for him. His profile's so much higher than it was, but when they started dating, I think.
Yeah, I think this is true love. I am on the record. This marriage is going to last. That is my prediction.
I mean, I think it would be really hard if it didn't because it's all so public.
They're going to get that house in the suburbs with the basketball court, is all I'm saying.
I think so. And the music studio. I believe in those crazy kids. We'll see.
All right. Happy New Year, Stacey.
Happy New Year, Max. This show is produced by Stacey Wong. Magnus Henriksen is our supervising producer, and Amy Keene is our executive producer. Sam Rogich handles engineering, and Dave Purcell fact-checks. Sage Bauman heads Bloomberg Podcasts. Special thanks to Jeff Muskus, Julia Rubin, Charlie Gorovin, Angel Recchio, and Maria Ling. If you have a minute, please rate and review the show. It means a lot to us. And if you have a story that should be our business, please email us. Everybody's@bloomberg.net. That is everybody's with an S at bloomberg.net. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.